Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our banter, where we talk about the story Cicada narrated for the week, what part we liked, and what we did not like about it. This is the first story that Cicada and I have not read beforehand. It is I'll Never Go Back to That Farm Again, written by Up Late After Midnight. And Cicada, this week I'm thinking about starting off with the cow animal fact of the week. It is that cows sleep laying down. They will take naps standing up, but they'll only do that for like 5 to 10 minutes.
See, and I didn't know that. I genuinely assumed that they did sleep standing up and you could tip them over like they attempted to do in the story.
No, no, no. They're only in light sleep, and as soon as you touch them, they'll wake up if they're standing and kind of stomp around like how they did in the story. But besides all that, let's get into some of the details.
Absolutely.
I was a real big fan of how the story was laid out. I like the couple paragraphs of explaining the backstory, why the kids ended up in the field, and all the grueling details about how the monster chased them, how it was intelligent, um, how the kid almost ended up dying because for a split second he thought about worrying about the barbed wire instead of running away from the obvious threat. How how did you like the writing of the story?
I have to agree with you on most of those points, except, and maybe it's just because I narrated, um, I found that some of the descriptions, even during like the entire scene, just became long winded as though he was trying to explain too much and not focus on the task at hand, the giant monster chasing you. But I did really like the setup and how they get there. Just being three kids trying to test a theory that one of their older brothers told them. That's absolutely something that I would have had growing up.
Oh yeah, the whole theme of like curiosity leading to danger. Maybe some things are better left, you know, unknown in that sense.
Yeah, one of those that you might be able to go do it, but don't. Just don't. Just leave it alone. Trust your brother. Live your life thinking that that's something that is real. Because even outside of a giant, terrifying monster trying to rip you apart limb from limb, there's quite a few other, downsides to going out and cow tipping specifically on a farmer's land after midnight.
Oh yeah. I kind of how they mentioned in the story that farmers shooting anything that moves. You don't want to be one of those things that move in the middle of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an unfortunate way to really disappoint your family in your life choices.
Exactly. And I mean, you've just got to older brothers never lie. Being an older brother myself, I would never lie to my younger brother.
And, being the youngest, I totally agree. My older brothers have never lied to me. But sticking with the theme of the details, I think one of my favorite things about the entire scene when they get out there is the fact that as Lila's swinging her flashlight beam side to side, you see a lump in the distance. And obviously, reading horror, you think, oh, there it is. And it's a dead cow. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. It's a buildup. And then she swings her flashlight again out into the woods, and you see something, against the trees. And when I first read it, it described a cow, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. It's going to be some mutant cow, like some sort of cow Wendigo hybrid. And then it's just another dead cow. And as I read that, I assumed that there was no monster. It was more the fear of the unknown.
Okay. I I gotta agree with you there. As I was listening to you narrate it, I definitely thought that second cow-shaped object was just some sort of cow monster. I really didn't go towards the fear of the unknown. Um, I think I more leaned towards they were gonna come to the conclusion that it was coyotes and continue on, and then there was gonna be some other build-up, or maybe, they would've been like, "Okay, we couldn't tip a cow," and as they were leaving, the monster was gonna appear. But I never really got the fear of the unknown from that.
Interesting. Definitely see what you mean there. Um, go ahead.
All that being said, would you have left after finding that first dead cow, or would you have stayed there?
I can safely say that I am stupid enough to investigate why there is a dead cow.
Okay, follow-up. Would the second dead cow deter you, or would that just make you more curious?
The second dead cow propped up against a tree, that would deter me. That would indeed make me hightail it back to my house and never tell anyone that I was over there.
Okay. Why never tell anyone that you were over there?
Well, I was trespassing. It didn't matter that I saw two cows ripped apart and shredded. I was still trespassing. I'd be scared of getting in trouble.
You know what? That makes perfect sense, actually. 'Cause I'm like, there's nothing really too unreasonable about seeing two dead cows that could reasonably be explained away by coyotes or wolves. But, trespassing is kind of a big deal.
I do not. I'm disagreeing with you. Just disagree with you here. The way Uplate describes these cows, the first one maybe you could say was coyotes, but the second one that's propped up against a tree with its head completely snapped, show me a coyote that's doing that.
Oh, no, I don't think did I say coyotes? I swear I said wolf. But,
You did. You're right. You did. But also
okay.
show me a wolf that's breaking a, because these are full size heifers standing 6 to 8 feet tall.
I guess I could kind of see how that would be a stretch. I mean, if they worked on it long enough, I feel like, definitely with enough like munching, they could probably get through the neck of what's going on.
Sorry, I'm just laughing. I'm picturing like 8 wolves propping a 2 ton steer against a
Oh, I'm not
tree.
talking about the propping. I kind of
No, I
feel
know.
like
I know. That was just funny to me.
we're whatever, dude. Whatever, cicada. I feel like those wolves, the cow may have died in an awkward position, but they could definitely work through the neck of a cow.
I suppose you would be right. I know. Dead cows is a touchy subject for you, and I apologize.
It's okay. I'm really passionate about this, man. Um, onto a more serious note. I love how Up Late makes the monster seem very intelligent and toying with them. The scene specifically about how he's testing the fence, and it's not that it doesn't understand it can't get over the fence, but it almost wants to like break it just to break it.
Definitely. With that specifically, I would believe that Up Late is a bit of a Jurassic Park nerd because to me, I got very big. The first movie where the T Rex grabs the fence and then pulls it down. I got that same sort of idea as I was narrating. I could picture the scene in my head.
Okay, I I can see it. I actually do see it. I'm now imagining one of the kids say "clever girl" and another one getting eaten in a porta potty. That I didn't make that connection until you mentioned it, but that fits in the lore now. At least my head canon.
Absolutely, as a dinosaur nerd, the creature itself seemed very raptorish to me, and it did feel like it was toying with them. Specifically, you mentioned earlier when he stops at the fence line. I think it slowed down. I think it just didn't kill him. It just didn't want to.
Oh, 100%. It almost seemed like it was for the thrill of the hunt. Like it kept pace with them, and more of I'm not sure if like to prove to itself or just doing it because that's the most active prey it's seen. But like it ran along with the kids, it turned towards the road and it kind of stopped at the town. And I wonder why do you think, I guess, was the creature afraid of the light? Do you think that was a power play if we're going with it's super intelligent, like just to scare the crap out of these kids? Why wouldn't it chase, in your opinion?
That to me, I don't have a great answer for you specifically at the edge of town because to me, I don't know why it stopped. That is almost a plot hole in the story to me. I know the narrator, the protagonist of the story, says that it's learning, it's testing the boundaries, but to me, the it just stopped was such a okay, where'd it go? I think it could have been better off if, they heard it all stop moving and they turned and they saw it just standing there.
Yeah, okay, kind of like it's sitting outside of the edge of town, unsure of whether it's safe for the creature to enter. And that's a risk it's not willing to take. So it kind of, I'm going to use trot like a horse, but like trots back to where it's familiar with the field.
Yeah, something where it just slinks off, and he even could have used, that wet laugh sound that it makes into almost that higher pitch sound, and then it just stalks off.
Okay, that that's a good reasoning right there. I kind of like that mental picture of it almost giving up but not accepting defeat.
Yeah, or they could have shown, it could have taken a step just past the light and really showed off its intelligence, knowing that if it did this, it would cause more havoc for itself than it would be for good, but just to show that it could. Some big intelligent power play where it, puts one foot over.
Okay, kind of like almost in a way showing the kids like just because you're in the light doesn't mean you're safe. I'm choosing to turn around.
Exactly. Exactly. That's like on the money. Could have given it this. And I guess
Like
it's
almost
almost,
intimidation.
yeah, but I guess going against myself, you do kind of give this beast some sort of supreme intelligence that I just don't think that it does have. I believe it's smart, but I just don't think it has that sort of intelligence, I suppose.
I I kind of have to disagree with you there. If it was not if it's smart enough to toy, I feel like it's probably going to be smart enough to like abandon a hunt, kind of prove its point and leave.
That's
Um,
fair.
because why would like, okay, if it's just a straight predator, it would have kept going till the kids were dead. It didn't matter where it was at. If it was, a hyper intelligent being, kind of like how I'm assuming it is, it will prove its point, weigh the risk and reward, and go back to where it knows it's safe. There's no point in putting itself in harm's way when it's got plenty of food in the field. And we know through reading the story, it's continuing to hunt cows. Like this farmer's losing cows every day. There was less cows there when the kid showed up again.
Yeah, you're definitely right. And I mean, the kids don't tell anybody, but at that point, do you think you would bring it up maybe, or would you just continue to keep that secret?
As an adult, I think I would definitely tell someone. As a kid, you know, not even a teenager yet, like 13, I believe is how old these kids are. I think I would probably keep that to myself because I wouldn't, kind of like how you said trespassing in trouble. If the adults know about it and, well, one, if they know about it, I feel like you'd get in a lot of trouble, and that's, risk and reward, a lot more risk than reward. Two, there's a chance they don't believe you, think you're crazy. And then, what were you doing in these fields? Did you accidentally, like, let in a wolf or something that murdered these cows? Is it your fault that these cows are dead? I feel like I would be afraid that the blame would be pinned on me. So I think I'd keep that to myself if I was young.
Yeah, that's fair. I was originally going to say I was gonna go ahead and say that I would tell somebody, but the more you talked about it, the more you are correct. I don't think I would.
Because I mean, like at that age, it's not that you're powerless, but you rely on so many people to almost make choices on your behalf or as guidance that it is, you know, kind of scary to take that step up and make change. I feel like that's something you get much later on in life.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense to me. And I think that you said that very well.
I appreciate it, Cicada.
Well, Cal, it is getting a little late, and we got to get these barn doors closed, barred up. That way you guys can survive the night. But before I go, as is tradition, I would like to rate this story.
Okay, Cicada. I definitely love this story. It was nice to experience it because the past two, I have, there's always been that nostalgia factor for me. And looking at Up Late, I was kind of looking at his work on his Reddit. This is a second story or first. I really can't tell the timing of it, but either way, he's written two things, and I really liked how it flowed and all that. I'm going to give it, I'd say, an 8 out of 10.
Interesting. I originally had written down that I was going to give this a 6 out of 10 due to how long winded some of these things felt and some of the plot holes that I saw. But as we talked, I kind of wanted to change it, and I think that I'm more comfortable giving it a 7 out of 10. I do like a lot of the detail, and I do like the way that, Up Late kind of describes these things and leaves almost a lot of it up to your own imagination and thought processes.
Okay, yeah, no, I love that answer. I mean, it is leaves a lot of thinking, which leads to conversations like these.
Well, Cow, it seems we've done our rating and we've talked about our story for the week. But now I must leave you and all the other farm animals. Good night, everyone.